Well, hello and welcome back to On the Tee with HMB. I'm DJ Jones, Major Haversham's Lieutenant for Social Media, coming to you from Ardglass Golf Club, where today the members of Dubuque Golf and Country Club are set to pay a visit. Ardglass is home to a spectacular links that features an opening duo of holes that pretty much has to be seen to be believed. We have no doubt that the HMB forces will keep in mind a helpful piece of advice when playing those two holes. On the tee shots, all of Ireland is to the right. As we do each week, we'd like to salute a handful of our latest field reports from the forces. If you are traveling on an HMB expedition or just happen to find yourself on a famous links across the pond, tag us anytime at Haversham Baker. We'd love to see your field reports, and you just might find it on an upcoming episode of On the Tee. So today we are heading to the home of golf to check in at the Old Course Hotel. The award-winning property recently underwent an extensive renovation, so we sat down with David Scott, a longtime director at the hotel, to tell us a little of what's new, as well as to share his insight on St. Andrews and how to tackle the infamous road hole. We hope you enjoy the listen. Well, David, welcome to On the Tee with HMB. We know it's been a bit of a busy day in the home of golf, and we appreciate you taking the time this afternoon to join us.
Daniel, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm delighted to speak with you and share a little bit of my love for St. Andrews in the area.
Well, I must start by giving you a long overdue thank you, David. Every morning I open up Twitter and, it's just as if they kind of know me, and your tweets are among the first I see every day, and it looks like it has just been one spectacular day after another. We're actually showing off a few of them here, and so thank you for getting my mornings off to a proper start.
Yeah, it's not always like that over here. It doesn't show the wind, which can be a lot of fun or toughness in the golf course. But yeah, we've had a really tough winter, but now spring is here. The temperature is, just nudging on the 60-degree mark. So it's getting very nice. The grass is starting to grow, and it's great to start taking some nice photographs with sunshine there. And so I'd like to think I'm a kind of unofficial weather reporter with my photographs. So I quite often say weather highlights for today: 60 degrees with light winds, 2-club wind, and then copying a few folk naturally as you do on Twitter. So yeah, I enjoy it, and I'm gradually building up a following that like the photographs, because I feel very lucky and privileged to be taking photographs of not only the Old Course and maybe the Old Course Hotel, but also the Duke's Golf Course where I'm based at as well.
Well, some of my favorites are the sunrise shots from the beaches, and I'd imagine you have to get up pretty early to capture some of those.
Oh, you certainly do. It's not, come summertime, sunrise might be around 5 a.m. So I'm not saying I get up that early, but yeah, I might go out for a light jog or something like that, not to be confused with running, around maybe 6 or 6:30, and it sets you up for the day. It stimulates the brain, and you get out there and then send. And people like to see the tweets that come from the East Sands and West Sands also.
Well, those weather reports are certainly appreciated. And before we dive into kind of all things St. Andrews and the Old Course Hotel, tell us a little about yourself. How did you come to the golf and hospitality business?
Well, if I take you right the way back, I'm fortunately feel blessed. I was born in St. Andrews and brought up probably an 8-iron away from the last green on the Old Course. So my dad was a good player. He played off like 3 handicap or better for 20 odd years. So he put a club in my hand when I was probably 3 or 4, and he either loved the game or despised the game in the home of golf, I think. And I certainly loved it, and enjoyed playing many rounds over the 6 links, or sorry, 5 links way back then. There's been a couple of extra golf courses. So this was probably late 60s and 70s, and so yeah, I played golf until I was 19. I decided to turn professional. So from that point onwards, I then moved out to St. Andrews, but would always come back and see my mum and dad. But that's really how I got into the golf game, and very quickly I really started to enjoy the management side of things on golf, and I had a head pro job. Then I moved into a director of golf role down at Kingsbarns Golf Links, which I think is probably very well known to the listeners. So I moved there in 1999, and stayed there for 9 years. and then moved over to Kohler Company, the Old Course Hotel, and the Dukes in 2008. So I moved back into the area, just at the end of the 20th century, and then been based really in St Andrews, Kingsbarns since then. So feel very, very lucky.
Well, it's not every day that you get to talk to a native San Andrean, so we'd love to hear a little more of your insight on that. How has the town evolved through the decades in your eyes?
Well, it certainly is the mecca of golf. There's no question about that. I mean, the old course dates back around 600 years. The University St Andrews, 600 years. So you've got a definite demographic split. University kids come in September or so. So we have about 10,000 kids coming in, to college or university, as we call it over here. And then the golfers then come in springtime, and they just flood. They just flood the town. So the bars change in the space of a couple of weeks. In fact, it's really incredible. But my memories, 1970, Jack Nicklaus, I was, I think, 7 or so then, and I was down there with my dad, and I think I was on top of his shoulders, and, Nicklaus there, and then going through the years, 78, Nicklaus winning again, and then 84, and it was really toward, I think, the end of the 70s that golf really took hold, in Scotland for North Americans. I think, it was at Tony Lima in 64, then it was Nicklaus in 70, and then really the coverage of golf became so much better, I think, in the 70s, and got the golfing juices going for overseas golfers wishing to come to the home of golf. So you find the town getting busier and busier with overseas players, and then as a result of that, then the demand for more golf courses came along. So then for down on the links, then there was a shorter golf course. It's called the Stratyrum. It was built, and then the Castle course in the early 2000s. That's managed by the St Andrews Links Trust as well. That was open. Kingsbarns opened in 2000. Opened in the week of the Open Championship in 2000, and I think had over 1,400 players. And it's just gone on from strength to strength. That place, and then there's 2 nice golf courses at the Fairmont that have great views over the town. And then my own golf course, I'm working at the Dukes Golf Course. It opened in 1995, designed by 5 times Open champion Peter Thompson, and then redesigned by a chap, Tim Liddy, Pete Dye's right-hand man, in mid 2000, 2006, in fact, to make it much more playable, Heathland Classic. So there's so much golf to be played in St Andrews area, and there is the demand now, whereas I think, 70s, 80s, it wasn't quite as popular, but now everybody wants to come. And I think just the aviation, the opportunity to fly in, not only just to Glasgow, but to fly into Edinburgh, which is only an hour or so away, makes it so much easier for the big jets that are coming straight over from Northern America.
Well, that's some great insight. I'm curious. Any recollection of what the green fee was on the old course back in those days?
Wow. Yeah, I'll bet you it wasn't any more probably than £20. The old course sits at 185, I think it is just now. So £185. It's a public golf course. It's extremely difficult to get on high season, but it is possible. They have a great ballot system, and singles can get out there. They queue up in the morning, sometimes from 2 a.m. to try and get out there and slip in as singles, which is great. But probably the best value for money, I would think, in the world of golf for 185, when you think of, I don't know, your Pebble Beaches and your courses over there that are $500+ or so, and you've got the home of golf, the most famous course in the world, 185, and with the dollar rate right now, it's even a better bargain. So yeah, this it's a great spot. It's a great spot, and there's a lot of great value for money in the area.
Well, having spent most of your life in the town and knowing the links as well as you do, what is it about the old course in your mind that has managed to mystify golfers for some 500 years?
The old course is so much fun, and I don't play a great deal these days, but if somebody were to say to me, okay, do you want a game of golf? And I'd say, well, where are we playing? And they'd say, well, we're playing the old course. Absolutely, because you don't have to have your A game on the old course. You can you can hit it down the left or you can hit it down the right, and you know you're going to find your ball typically, well, almost always. And you play to your strengths around the golf course as well. So if you're having a bad time off the tee, you just give a bit more distance, aiming at left perhaps, but then it gives you a tougher shot in. So it's risk and reward. So I think just the wonderful players that have gone before me, way back to Bobby Jones, obviously, and Jack Nicklaus, and the late Arnold Palmer, who's absolutely a breath of fresh air every time he came into to town, and Gary Player, and all the greats of golf, and also so many VIPs and so many people in love with the game that stand in that first tee or come to the last hole and they're in tears because they just cannot believe they're actually here in the home of golf. So I get a chill up my spine every time I stand in that first tee, and I'm always hopeful it's going right down the middle. You can never, even although it's 100 yards wide, you're just never too sure until you strike that ball and see it on its way, hopefully heading towards like the left side of the Old Course Hotel. That's that's the angle I'm always kind of aiming at there, or the jigger in, a little white building. So easy areas to point at and aim at, and take aim and take dead aim and fire.
Well, a countless number of golfers have no doubt underestimated that opening tee shot through the years. And, the fairway may be 100 yards wide, but that certainly doesn't make it any less daunting when you're standing on that tee.
Well, if you're into, the prevailing wind, it's kind of into you. And if you've got a fade in your game and you come up a little bit early, that fade becomes then a slice. And, there are a few balls that are chopped out of bounds there, even although it's so wide there. So the caddy's number one job is to keep their player in play on the first hole. And the caddies around there are fantastic. So they typically, say, okay, sir, just make sure you go maybe 10 yards left of where you're thinking about there, and we'll get you in play. So yeah, it's a daunting shot. Maybe after a whiskey or two in a couple of local bars, it becomes that little bit easier, as does a 3-foot putt.
A pre-round visit out to the Jigger Inn would certainly help calm the nerves. And speaking of which, shifting gears now to the Old Course Hotel, you are fresh off of a pretty extensive renovation. You were even closed for a little while there while you completed some of the work. Tell us, what's new at the Old Course Hotel?
Yeah, we were fortunate. We got some great investment from Mr. Kohler, and he agreed to refurbish. We have 144 bedrooms, so we refurbished the regular bedrooms. So we addressed 103 of them. So in the upgrade, that included the lighting in the rooms, which we'd had feedback on wasn't as good as perhaps it should be. Air conditioning wasn't right to points, so we addressed that. Power points for the modern traveler as well. So either side of the bed now, you've got your USB points. There's an American point as well, I think, at on the desk. So you could plug in laptops or whatever. And new windows. So the windows were probably 25 years old, and so when the wind really starts whistling off the North Sea, it can find any nook and cranny and crack in a window and it'd be whistling away. So we replaced all the windows from first floor right the way up to actually our fourth floor, where our Road Hole bar and Road Hole restaurant are. Just cleared a whole lot out, put new ones in, so it's absolutely watertight and windtight, and then naturally new carpets and new wall coverings. So really did a big makeover, and the feedback's been tremendous. Big TVs up in the wall as well. I think they're 50-inch or thereabouts, 50, 55-inch. So they've got all the sports channels, etc. So we listened to customer feedback, and figured it all out. Say, okay, this is the plan. So we were closed for 3.5 months in 2017, and then actually toward the end of the year, like November time, we decided to put an extension on our spa. So we now have 2 swimming pools, and we've also got a brand new gymnasium. So we split it into 2. So you've got a leisure area, as we call it. So you've got your new gymnasium, and then you have a new swimming pool, and then a spa separate area, which is thermal suites and another swimming pool. So it's pretty much doubled the size of what we've got there now. So that's fantastic for for a modern day traveller that's looking to work out, a bit of well-being and a few laps of the pool as well. So there's not an overcrowding issue at all. So a lot of investment, but we are, thrilled with the feedback we're getting and the results.
We also came across a story or two about the new roof, which was installed to help combat slicing tee shots off the 17th.
That's a great one, and it's not a story; it's a fact. Yeah, it was interesting. I don't know, we'd spend about 35, 40,000 dollars a year on roof repairs on slates that got cracked, and so the nature of a slate, it's very brittle. So if you crack it, then the slate will then kind of cascade down and leave a big gaping hole in your roof. So lots of tee shots off 17 hit our roof. And so lots of slates got hit, lots of slates got cracked, and we had lots of holes in our roof. And so if there was a storm coming through that night, then you would then have leaks coming in through your roof. So it became, it could be pretty embarrassing sometimes. Here you've got a five-star hotel and you've got leaks. Well, it only happened 4 hours ago and it's raining. So anyway, we looked into this and we actually found what is just looks like an identical, it just looks like slate, but in fact it's made of rubber. So we have rubber tiles, or rubber slates rather, across our whole roof now. I think they were located in Canada and we got them shipped over. It was a very expensive procedure, that's for sure. But if you took a photograph, you could win $100 to say that is definitely slate. It's even got little grooves and and movement that you would expect to find in slate. So yeah, it was a clever investment because we haven't spent 1 cent on repairs ever since we put that up. So yeah, and it looks very smart as well. It looks sharp. So unfortunately, it's not. The balls don't rebound off the rubber back onto the fairways. A few folk have asked me about that, but that's not the case. But certainly, it still gets. I would say on a busy day, if you've got a wind off the water, you might have 20 balls that hit the roof, and then you've got plenty more that just go out of bounds, maybe into a pond or getting close to the jigger end. Very few reach the jigger end because that's a really big knockdown there, but maybe 50 paces shorter there or so. So yeah, it's a daunting tee shot. There's no question about that. But we've safeguarded ourselves anyway with our rubber roof.
Well, there are a few things in the game that are quite as thrilling and intimidating as launching a drive over the corner of the railway sheds there. But tell us, you have any more insight? How did that come about? I mean, the links obviously predates the hotel by a number of centuries. How did you come to be a part of the course in such a way?
Yeah, the sheds. Well, the Jigger Inn actually is a beautiful inn. It opened as a pub or inn in 1974, but it's got great history. It dates back, I think, 1846, where it used to be the old railway station master's lodgings. So that's where the railway stopped into St Andrews. So that's where he used to be there, and he'd no doubt have a nice flower pots, etc. But there were actually carriage sheds that used to be on the site of the Old Course Hotel. So the shape of the sheds that people play over now at 17 were the original shape of the sheds for these train carriages. So it's kept that feel to it, and so it's always had that dog leg on it as well. You always had to hit over the carriages there. So I don't know. It's just great to have that. It's a very nerve wracking tee shot. Probably the most nerve wracking. I don't know. I would think probably in the world of golf, there's not too many others I can think that come close to it. And again, it's a tough shot. You ideally want to hit it, over the right half of the sheds, but that's you hitting over the out of bounds and a longer carry as well over the out of bounds. So if you take a tight line and just come off it or cut it or push it a little bit, then you could be reloading and then you start to really panic then. Whereas the safe line, absolutely, you've got 100 yard left, but then you can hit it into some snarly rough, and then from there you might just hack it out there with a 9 iron. Sometimes you get lucky and you might be able to get a rescue club at it. But it's quite a hard shot from down there. So yeah, it's a wonderful risk and reward hole, which runs throughout the old course, but especially on 17. So there is a logo that you can actually see, the hotel logo. There's a rampant lion on the left, and then it's Old Course Hotel, Golf Resort and Spa, I think, on the right. So for the safe play, it would be over the rampant lion. But if you really want to be a lion and, be courageous, then, 5 to 10 yards, to the right of the lion, that's the aggressive line. And that's where you're going to make a lot more pars from, taking that tee shot line. But you're also going to make quite a lot of double bogeys if you don't quite hit the perfect shot.
Some excellent advice for what might very well be the most intimidating tee shot in golf. So, shifting gears a little bit, as usual, it's another exciting year in the home of golf. The Old Course is hosting the Senior Open come July. The Open Championship is just up the road in Carnoustie. As a native, you've no doubt played Carnoustie a number of times. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the Open, and who do you think takes home the claret jug in the end?
Yeah, really exciting at Carnoustie. You've had Padraig there, and obviously Paul Lawrie, 1999. He's such a wonderful bad weather player. If you get a strong wind there, maybe not rain. It's more the wind that's going to really make that place tough. I talked about playing the Old Course. I'd play it any time. Great. If you'd said to me, "Do you want to play Carnoustie tomorrow?" I would kind of have to have a think about it. I would absolutely go because the condition of the place is always fantastic, but it's a hard golf course. So it demands an all-round game, really good tee shots, and then good iron play. Whereas the Old Courses say you can get away with poorish tee shots, but you've got to be good with irons. So it's going to be the best player in the week. I know Jordan Spieth is unbelievable. Rory's got great links pedigree. There's so many guys in the frame. It's a bit like the Masters, a month or so back there. You just didn't know who was going to, put the green jacket on at the end of the week because there was so many people in the frame. That's why the bookies were they didn't know really who the favourite was. It was such a tough call. So naturally, being a European, I would love a European to win. With Patrick Reed, you've already got one up on us, and with Ryder Cup this year, I'd like to try and get some impetus for the Europeans, but. And even better, it would be wonderful, having a Scot in the frame on the back nine would be magic. But I just hope it's tight on that back nine, like every lover of golf, so there's not an anticlimax and somebody runs away with it, by 6 shots or something like that. But you know what? Even if somebody was 6 shots ahead on the back nine of Carnoustie, it's certainly not over because as much as talked about and written about, the last 4, I think the 15th is underrated. That's a tough par. But then 16, 17, 18, I think, is it 16 like 248 yards or something, a par 3. I mean, really, is such a hard hole. And then 17 sneaky. The water really sneaks in on your tee shot. And once you've found that, you're still hitting quite a long iron. And then 18, well, Van de Velde, we all know what happened there. But to have to shoot 4 pars in a row, to win it is really a tall order. But I'm really excited about it, like everybody is. It's great. It's only maybe 35, 40 minutes by car from St Andrews, so I'm planning to go over there at least one day anyway, if I can, if the schedule allows. But it'll be tremendous. It's one of the finest links courses in the world, no question about that.
Well, it promises to be another exciting Open, and we're in agreement. I hope that it's close down the stretch and that nobody climbs into the Barry Burn to settle it at the end. But David, thank you for taking the time to join us this afternoon, and we're looking forward to another exciting year and plenty of golf and the good life to be had and enjoyed at the Old Course Hotel.
Daniel, it's great. We really look forward to welcoming all your guests at the Old Course Hotel and St Andrews. I'm sure they'll love it. If they're repeat guests, they know what they're going to come for, and if they're new guests, well, they won't believe what they're going to experience. It's a wonderful spot. So really appreciate your support and all your guest support at the resort.
Well, it is absolutely our pleasure. Cheers to you and all of our friends at the Old Course Hotel.
Thank you very much, Daniel.
Thank you once again to David Scott for joining us today and for sharing a little insight both on St Andrews and the Old Course Hotel. If you'd like to receive his daily weather reports from around the home of golf, be sure to give David a follow on Twitter He's at David Scott OCH. You can also find the Old Course Hotel across social media. They are at Old Course Hotel on both Twitter and Instagram. Next week is the July 4th holiday, so we're going to take a little time off, but be sure to tune in July 11th for a new episode. But until then, we wish you plenty of golf at its finest and life at its best.